Does race affect intelligence? When we talk about intelligence, it's essential first to understand what it means. Intelligence is the ability to gain and apply knowledge. It can be broken down into fluid intelligence, which is the capacity to problem solve and think creatively, and crystallized intelligence, which is knowledge gained through experience and education. But does intelligence vary by race? A large-scale study of 3,000 African Americans and 2,500 European Americans aimed to explore this question by conducting an experiment examining both genetic and non-genetic factors. Researchers found no meaningful connection between known intelligence-related genes and intelligence between different races. However, they did find that non-genetic factors like age, tobacco use, and education played a role in intelligence. So, if race is not a genetic factor that determines intelligence, why are there differences in test scores between different races? IQ tests and standardized tests themselves are historically biased. These tests favored individuals from higher socioeconomic backgrounds. They were designed for white Americans to excel in and for other races to do poorly in. The bias on these exams affects how people from different racial and economic backgrounds perform, not because they are less intelligent, but because the test doesn't reflect their experiences or knowledge base. Another major factor in test performance is stereotype threat, a psychological phenomenon in which individuals underperform on tests when they are anxious that they are confirming negative stereotypes about their own group. Research shows that black people being reminded of their race before a test can lower their scores. White people being reminded of their race does not produce the same effect. This phenomenon occurs because of the stereotype that black people are not intelligent. A similar stereotype does not exist for white people. Many studies exploring race and intelligence do not consider stereotype threat in their analysis of test scores by race despite its considerable effect. How have standardized tests and IQ tests been used as tools for systemic racism? Standardized testing plays a huge role in determining access to opportunities like college admission and job placement. If the tests are biased towards one race, that race will perform better on them. When these tests determine opportunities and placements in society, then inequality amongst different races emerges. Racially biased testing creating inequality goes back over a century. During World War I, IQ tests were used in the draft, and people with lower scores were more likely to serve as grunts in the military. In the 1917 draft, 36% of qualified black men were inducted into the military, compared to only 24% of qualified white men. This over-recruitment of black men was due to the draft selecting lower scores to serve as grunts. This overdrafting of African Americans continued throughout the war. By the end, 1/3 of all black registrants had been inducted versus 1/4 of white registrants. So, do races differ in intelligence? Scientifically, no. But how we measure intelligence and the environments people grow up in impact performance on these tests. This issue is not about biology but history and inequality. Understanding that there is no genetic correlation between race and cognitive ability helps us analyze the social processes that create structured inequality in the U.S., and it reminds us why equity in education and testing matters.